Hi, this is Jim Higgins, the Journal Sentinel book editor. TMJ4 sports reporter Jessie Garcia, author of the new book My Life with the Green and Gold, talks about two of the books she recommends this holiday season. One.
Well, I chose two nonfiction books because my book is nonfiction, and I really like reading nonfiction as well as fiction, but just for today's purposes. And this one actually is the best book that I have read about what life truly is like in the NFL. It's written by Nate Jackson, who you can see right here, called Slow Getting Up, which I like the title already. And he was one of those fringe players in the NFL. He played for the Denver Broncos, and he would be practice squad called up, practice squad cut, you know, that whole thing. Played in the NFL Europe for a while, wound up at the end of his career trying to hang on with played the Browns and some other teams. And he's just so searingly honest and very, very funny as well about what life truly is like in the NFL. And especially given the injuries that we see today, it is shocking to read the number of injuries that he goes through just as this fringe NFL player. He puts his MRI results in there and all this different stuff and talks a lot about the treatments that they do, the shooting him up, you know, with the pain relievers and the steroids and that kind of thing to try to get him ready for game day, and then the pain that you have the entire week after that, you know. So I just found it really, really interesting as a fan of the NFL. And it's not just one of those standard, you know, I made it to the top after starting in humble beginnings kind of player books, you know, that you get. This is a really honest look at life in the NFL. In fact, I would think the National Football League wouldn't be real happy about this book, but I found it really fascinating and funny. The second book I chose is called The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and it is so interesting and good. So Henrietta Lacks was a woman who died of ovarian cancer many, many years ago. I'm trying to remember exactly because I read this book about a year ago, but I think it was in the 1940s. And at the time, they would scrape cells from corpses, and they would use them in scientific research. They had not figured out yet how to duplicate cells, how to clone cells, and so this was at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. And so any time they had somebody pass away, they would take some of their cells, and the scientists would try to clone them. Hers were the first ones that actually multiplied, and it wound up being used to create the polio vaccine and a whole number of other medical miracles that we experience today. But her family never knew that this had happened. It was just their standard policy at the time. So her cells, based on her name, they call cells HeLa, so H-E-L-A. So her cells, the HeLa cells, were one of the biggest scientific advances of the 20th century, and yet her family was never informed of this. And when they did find out many, many years later, the book morphs into them in modern times and their struggle at losing their mother at a very young age. It involves race, it involves class, and it's really an eye-opening book about science and about culture as well. So, and it's so well researched and so well done, and in nonfiction that's really hard to do, to make sure that you dot all your I's, cross all your T's, and Rebecca Skloot did such a great job of that I was really, really impressed reading this book, and it's really well written.